So hold up a second. Is anybody else getting the impression that this party might be evil? Spoiler warning for episode 21. Here's my evidence that they might be evil. 1. The fire incident. 2. Ashton's attitude. And 3. Fresh cut grass's weird amorality, this synthetic morality. Oh my goodness. What's going on with this episode? We're going to cover all of this stuff in this recap. Let's go! This episode starts with the party partway through their mission to steal this blue earring from Lord Evon. So they're in his museum, down in the depths of this whole complex. They've bypassed a lot of traps to get through here. They're on low resources, and at the moment where there's this glass cage, this display box in front of them, they've triggered a trap that has summoned 2 clay golems that materialize in the room and start whacking them. This episode starts with combat. I'm not interested in doing a turn-by-turn recap, but here are the important bits. Overall, Hell's Bells are pretty reluctant to engage head-to-head with these golems because they hit like a truck, 2 trucks specifically. So instead, they're opting to try and smash this glass, take this earring, and then flee. But we've got to take into account the layout of this combat. It's really important here because the party started the fight in this central room with the 2 golems and this pedestal with the earring on it. Now to get here, they came through one of these side rooms, and in this side room is a statue of a lion, a stone lion, on like a swiveling platform, and there are 3 trapped tiles somewhere in this room. But here, on the other side of the pedestal room, the earring room, there's a door that they haven't opened yet. And when they're doing their evasion tactics, their hit and run tactics to try and get the earring and then get out of there, they decide to backtrack out through the room they came without opening this other door. Now here's the really stressful part. When eventually it gets to the moment where they need to leave, they go to the door they entered in this lion room and they go, haha, Ashton says, aha, I'm going to open this door. And Matt says, no, you're not. It is jammed. It's not locked. It's jammed. And they immediately piece together what's happened. Because the other party, the rival party, the verdict that they've been competing with in this competition have used Hell's Bells' own immovable rod to jam this door shut. And they're just listening on the other side of this door at the party get walloped by these clay golems. So Ashton has to turn around and tell the party, guys, we're going through the other door. This one's locked. Now the party has to face this combat. It ends up that Aurum gets one of their howdy doody do this and Fern gets the other. They defeat the clay golems and they open up this other door, and inside that door is an identical replica, a mirrored replica of this lion trap room. So now they've got 2 lion trap rooms, but they've also got the rival party on the other side of one of them. But here is my first bit of evidence that this could be an evil party doing evil things. Because, oh man, okay, they have a good idea here. They have a good idea. Lord Nut decides to try and make a decoy earring to kind of trick the verdict into taking the wrong earring. That's fine. That's mischief. I like that. But here's where it gets very dark, because what the party does is wait quietly in this clay golem room, listening for the verdict to come skulking through. And when they do come skulking through, Imogen's going to use her telekinetic powers to remotely trigger one of those trapped floor tiles in the lion room. So they hear the verdict creeping through. Imogen uses her ability to push the button, turn the switch, do the evil thing, and they just hear this roar, not of lions, but of fire, napalm spewing out in the other room, and the verdict are just screaming. Meanwhile, Bell's Hells are holding the door. This is a Hodor moment, but it's like an evil Hodor moment, because there's a contested strength roll as the verdict are trying to escape this fiery hell room that they've been trapped in. And then Imogen tricks it again, and more fire comes out, and they start to hear, oh no, he's down, we got to get him out, he's unconscious. And so one of the rival party has gone unconscious, right? They're in mortal danger. And then Chetney says, Imogen, do it again. And then Imogen does it again. They were already defeated. They were already retreating, but Imogen decides to press this button and I don't know. It's really dark. I found it pretty disturbing. And you can tell at the table, Laura felt bad. Laura did not enjoy this. She was checking with Matt. Oh, did they get out? They were okay. They were taking the unconscious people out, weren't they? But Travis enjoyed it. So the party go out there to check on the verdict. Hey, no, we're actually the good guys. Don't worry about it. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. They get out there and they see that there are 2 members of the verdict unconscious. The only people that are conscious are the human, the Qatari, and the Furbolg. So they heal up the other 2 and they have a bit of a conversation. They deceive the verdict into thinking, look, we actually haven't found the earring yet. We're going upstairs for unrelated reasons. Very interesting, very deceptive, and the verdict buy this, apparently. The verdict are going to take a short rest before continuing their quest to get the earring that is no longer there, and Bell's Hells are going to trek back up to the surface. But on the way, they're going to rob this place blind. Now, don't worry, we're going to cover the stuff that they stole from this museum. We're going to cover it in detail when they identify these items at the end of the episode. But for brevity, here's what they take on their trek out of the museum. They get their immovable rod back. They don't get their ever-smoking bottle back. They get the journal of Vespin Chloris. They get the spear of judgment. They get the helm of a Hishari. And they also steal a handful of mysterious secretive papers from a secret compartment in an office upstairs. And they also get a pair of fancy looking glasses. But I want to talk about the mood around the table here, because here's another example of why I think this party might be evil. Ashton is just so angry, so reckless at the mortal danger that they're just put in. He is leading the charge of hey, I know we're in a competition, but actually, screw this guy. Let's take everything, let's kick the snot out of him, and let's just bail. I think with a little bit of pushing or convincing, Ashton could have been convinced to do any amount of evil to this Lord Evon guy. He was not having it. He wanted to get out there and humiliate him, take his coat, beat him up. And the anger's justified. Yeah, of course. But I thought it was noticeably out of place with the tone of the rest of the party in that moment. So they gather all this stuff. They're going to hide the stuff they weren't meant to take, disguise it on themselves, and go present the earring to Lord Evon. So they go out the back door through a secret exit. They sneak past some guards and they find Lord Evon reclining in a chair in the front garden. Fresh Cut Grass presents Lord Evon with the earring, and ta-da, we won! And now, as a reward for completing this ridiculous OH&S quest, their reward is now there's a picture of them in the museum. Man, this sucks. But hey, they robbed this dog blind, and they're going to take all of the stuff they took out of town. They're not going to stay in the inn. They're going to go stay in the wilderness. So they get their horses and they book it. They just leave. And over the course of the next few days, they identify these items. So let's take a look. The helm that they found. This is something Ashton was very interested in. It's a helm of Hishari. Hishari are a kind of people. Now, it's just a leather helm. I don't think it's magical, but a history check reveals that it's kind of the attire worn by guards in this particular personality cult that was smashed in the last decade. And this town, Hishari, is used as kind of a cautionary tale against engaging in cults. These fancy glasses, these are magical. They're called the Eyes of Charming, and they can be used to get affection from somebody. Ashton gives these glasses to Fern. This one's so exciting. The Journal of Vespin Chloris. Now, this one is so exciting because Vespin Chloris is the person that caused the calamity, who released the betrayer gods pre-calamity. This is wild historical stuff, and it's fake. It's fake. Oh my god, I was so betrayed. It's fake. So this journal is like a prop, and the words are written by Lord Evon. They've got lots of ellipses. Chetney ends up discarding the journal. He's like, it's fake, I don't want it. But Lordna collects it. And I was very worried about Delilah, who is Lordna's patron, getting access to this pre-calamity, Archmage's journal. I was scared about that, but knowing it's fake, I feel a bit safer. Next is the Spear of Judgment. It's fake. It's fake as well. See, Lord Evon commissioned these artworks, this cool looking spear, and also something they didn't collect, which was the ruined, broken, the dodecahedron? The broken Jorhassian beacon. Both of these were commissioned art pieces, and we learned that from the next item, the mysterious papers. Now, these appear like blank, just plain paper. But Ashton very cleverly works out that these are magical by trying to tear a corner of a page. And of course, if they're magical, they're not going to tear, it's impervious to harm. But FCG identifies these pages and learns that you can read them if you apply extreme cold to them. So Lorna casts Ray of Frost in them, and the words materialize, and we learn a bunch of crazy stuff. A bunch of the papers are correspondence, letters going between Lord Evon and someone with this very strange code name. Aurum recognizes this. He's able to put together the code, the cipher, to understand some of this name and works out it might belong to somebody named Spiraling Shen. This is a character from Campaign 1. They are a prominent member of the Clasp. And on the screen right now, this is what the wiki reckons about Spiraling Shen, for those that didn't see Campaign 1. But we also learned something wacky about Lady Hexam, okay? Turns out Lord Evon has been keeping an eye on Lady Hexam with this spy. Lady Hexam being, Ashton's patron, the person that gave him this job. So she has received 3 shipments just a few months apart, and each shipment has been for like a small wooden crate. And Ashton seems to remember that when he broke into Lady Hexam's apartment or manor or whatever, ages ago when they first met and he got caught, he saw a box that kind of matched that. And he knows that he saw what was inside, but memory's a little bit fuzzy around that whole thing. Isn't that wacky? Sounds like somebody might have cast Modify Ashton on Ashton. So he takes that letter and he puts it apart from the rest. They're going to keep that. And this is going to be a trail we'll have to follow. So the party's pretty much done here. They're going to head back to Drusar, but there are 2 more things they want to do in town. And each of these, they were a bigger deal than I thought they were going to be. Firstly, Aurum and Chetney go to the toy store because Chetney wants to investigate the fact that there was a toy maker with a name he recognized, named Ultgar. Ultgar, the toy maker. He goes to the toy store and he inquires, like really cagily, about Ultgar, and the dwarven toy maker who works there, she immediately goes on edge, and they have a really tense conversation. Like, did Ultgar send you? They're both like kind of gripping their chisels like pistols ready to draw like it's an old western, and Aurum has to kind of talk this situation down, but there's a key bit of dialogue from Chetney about this situation. Ultgar is the worst person. I worked with him in Uthadam. He taught me to make toys. They were beautiful, but he betrayed that very craft. He has spies even here. I hate Ultgar. And this other dwarf in the store, she hated Ultgar as well, but neither of them trusted each other. This is like a divisive character, and I'm making a prediction now. I think Ultgar is gonna be a Santa-like person. I think it's going to be a Santa. But as they're leaving, they're approached by the hermit scholar Estani. And Estani has a little bit of a bomb to drop. Here's exactly what he says. Before you go, I've had friends that had similar curiosities as the Loomis twins. They work under a similar banner called the Grim Verity. It's a group of scholars 100 years old, but it seems this group of undergrads have graduated to something more. They're not dangerous, they're not a dangerous group, but their focus is in an area where more powerful groups might not appreciate them looking. So the twins had become members of this group, the Grim Verity, before, they were killed. If you intend to investigate this whole moon thing and go to the place that I told you earlier through the Hellcatch Valley, you should find my friend, Eben Kai. Now you give her this sealed letter and she will help you. Aurum and Chetney return to the group and they begin their journey back to Drusar. They return their horses to the stable where they rented them, and here's my third. Hey, I told you I had 3 examples. My third example of why I think this might be an evil party. Fresh Cut Grass is real spooky, mate. He's a spooky little dude. Fresh Cut Grass reveals that he doesn't think these horses have souls. Like, I don't think he thinks that animals are deserving of moral consideration. Which is, I don't know, that hits me real slimy. There's been a few things that Fresh Cut Grass has said throughout this campaign that make me think that his goodness is very synthetic, where he has like some kind of program in him that's compelling him to care for people that are soul touched or whatever, because these animals aren't soul touched like you, Imogen, you're different. And his like compulsion to help people, I don't know. I think that if Fresh Cut Grass had a program that was telling him to be evil, then he would be evil. And he's got a program that's telling him to be good. I don't know. It's synthetic goodness. And I'm so skeevy about this like amoral morality. I don't know. It's wacky. Leave a comment. Like, even if the party isn't evil, they did evil things, right? The things they did in this episode, some of it was objectively evil and not good. But alignment's so subjective. I don't know. I don't want to get bogged down in the weeds. Hey, all these people down here are my patrons. Thank you so much, patrons. It's great having you around. And YouTube seems to think you might like one of these 2 videos. Why don't you give them a click? See if it's right. All right, I'll see you later.